Good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon. For me, it's morning. I'm in Mountain Standard Time right now, of day 46 of 99 days of deeper embodiment. I'm just going to pause a moment and wait for people to join. If you're joining, then please leave a comment. Let me know that you're here. Today's a fun day to wake up and feel what's here. Today I'm feeling some shakiness in my body, some, how do I put it? Let's feel into what the words are exactly. Um, okay, so there's resistance arising around actually doing the video today. So it's, that shows up, and what that says is, don't do the video. You're halfway through already. It's just quit. And so it's like, and then what else is there? There's like, it also comes through as like um, distractions, other things to focus on, other things to pay attention to that move away from the video. Then there's also ideas of uh, how else does it show up? Saying, "Oh, you're full of shit. Oh, you don't know anything that you're talking about," which is an interesting one to see because, um, hmm, let's feel into that one. You're full of shit. You don't know anything that you're talking about. I'm going to feel that one really deeply right now, here and now. So that one wants to be felt. The truth is that I don't know anything at all. So nothing that I'm talking about is something that I know anything about at all. It's all just here right now. So there is no knowing to be had. There is no knowing anything at all. So I'm just bringing more presence into that one, and it shows up as a sensation. It's like a stabbing sensation. And these are, as I'm feeling deeper and just becoming more and more present, what they appear to be is like emotional ridges that are in the body. So I'm just bringing more and more awareness around that, more and more presence to that. So it feels like just dense sensations or dense emotions going into the heart, around the head. And so I'm just feeling more deeply around that too. And as I'm feeling that more deeply, fully and completely here and now, Just allowing it all to be there. Just being with it all. And as I'm just bringing more presence to it all, I'm feeling some of it says, nobody loves you. Okay, I can be with that too. I'm just bringing more presence to that. More and more, more awareness to it, more being with it. Nobody loves you. Let me just feel that too. And so as I bring more awareness to that, it almost there's shame there. So I'm feeling that too. So feel that shame. What does that shame wanna say? So we're going back into that story of me being gay and nobody actually liking me because I'm gay. It's funny because yesterday I sent a photo to my mother, and right now I have a long beard and it's actually graying, so it's just kind of fun, right? And she was very critical of it. She's like, "Oh, you look horrible. Your beard ages you 20 years." And so I I I I just felt that. I was like, "Oh my goodness, that is very critical. That is very critical, like really, really painful actually to have so much value tied up in the idea of what I should look like." Mm. And so I've been feeling that too. And so, in having that pop up, it's like, oh, you look 20 years older because you have a really long beard. And so that pops up, and I'm like, okay, I can feel that. And so now here I am with the video, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll shave my beard before I go on the video. Okay, so I see that. It says, oh, shave your beard before you go on the video. So it's funny because instead of shaving my beard, I'm here on the video and I haven't even taken a shower yet. So it's just like, oh yeah, my hair is a mess. I brushed my hair a little bit before getting on the video, but my hair is a mess. My beard is a mess, and I'm just here as a mess. Okay, wonderful, awesome. Let me feel that. Let me feel being on the video as a mess. Oof. Okay. So I'm on the video as a mess, as a disaster, as a total disaster. I'm going to drink my Pellegrino. These are really good, actually. Tangerine and wild strawberry essence. Um, so I'm just going to bring more presence, more stillness to this idea of being a mess. How many of you recognize this idea? How many of you are feeling this idea too? I'm curious. Do you judge yourself for being a mess? Do you judge yourself when this idea arises that says that you're a mess? Do you judge others when the idea arises and says that they're a mess? How much judgment is there around the idea of being a mess? So I'm just bringing more presence, more awareness with my breath here now, into feeling more fully and more deeply this idea of being a mess on both sides. How the judgment is when it comes from others, and how the judgment is when I judge others being a mess, or if I'm thinking or perceiving that others are a mess. And just feeling that fully and completely here and now. And as I'm feeling that fully and completely, I'm noticing that there's some memories coming up. And I'm just feeling through those too. So not bringing a whole lot of attention into the memories. Not bringing a whole lot of awareness into the memories. What I'm allowing myself to do is feel the memories fully through while also remaining present here and now and remaining focused on that I am present here and now. And so as the memories arise, they're arising all on their own with the stillness that I'm bringing to this moment, with the awareness that I'm bringing to this moment. And so I can see the memories. There was one memory of one time when I was really high on cocaine. This was like 2 decades ago. And my sister was screaming at me. She's very, very angry. And I was crying. And so I'm feeling that, bringing more presence and more awareness to it. hmm And just allowing it all to be there. All the sensations around it too, to be there. As I see that I am present and that this is no longer true. Sure, there's a memory there, but it has nothing to do with me. There's no me in this. It's just a sensation. That's all that it is. None of these ideas have anything to do with me. And so they just come up so that I can be fully with them. Feeling them all the way through. Wow. What does it feel like to feel messy? What does it feel like to feel judged for being messy? What does it feel like to judge oneself for aging or getting old? Ooh, just feel that. Ideas around the body no longer being useful and no longer serving. Mm, feel that too. And so the more presence and the more awareness I bring to this, the more they just move on out all on their own. It's effortless, really. It's simply about just being with what is here, fully and complete, and seeing it and being with it, seeing it and being with it. Sometimes this is called integrating the shadow. We can call it whatever we want to. It doesn't really matter what the rage is or the la moda. Spanish is coming out. La moda. The trend is as far as what is trending, what is fancy, as far as how we call these things. This is one of the things I've been bringing up a lot in this 99 days is that it doesn't matter what we call it. It doesn't matter what vocabulary we use. There's so many different ways to point to the same thing in words. And every time we get stuck on words, then we're moving into ideas around it and we're creating a dogma around it. And this takes us away from what is here now. And so this is actually quite challenging initially to recognize that it never was about the concepts, it never was about the words. The concepts are only useful when they allow me to move from a less expanded way of seeing into a more expanded way of seeing. So it's useful to bring me from point A to point B in my ability to zoom out, in my ability to see from a very zoomed in perspective and then moving to a more zoomed out perspective, moving into a more zoomed out, which would be less limiting perspective. And this is where the concepts become useful. But as soon as I get stuck on the concepts, as soon as I make the concepts something that is religious, something that is dogmatic, something that is always true, then I'm stuck on them. And I can do this with a concept, I can do this with a word, and then I'm no longer flowing with what is here and now. Because what is here and now may need a different word, it may need a different concept. And this applies to everything, including very deeply held beliefs around God and religion. For example, one day I may connect very strongly with the idea of Jesus Christ. And then the next day something may come up where there's a very heavy charge around Jesus Christ. And so I may not have the same connection with that I did the day previously. And this moment is completely new. And so to be in this moment is to recognize, oh wow, there's a very strong charge around that right now. So that's not working for me. Okay, wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just what's here. And so if that's not working, then what does it feel like? Oh well, it feels like I want to talk about it like more generically. It feels like I want to talk about it with the word source. Source feels more fun. It feels more opening, more expansive. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. That's what's here. That's what's right now. Okay, beautiful. So let's move with that. As soon as we get stuck on the idea of the way that it was yesterday, then we're no longer here and now. And we're just trying to hold on to some sort of a past idea, an experience that we once had, and then trying to recreate that over and over and over again, which doesn't work, you see. And the deeper and deeper we go, the less and less attached to any appearance at all, the less attachment to any appearance at all, any way that it wants to appear is okay. The less attachment to any idea at all is registered. Anything that wants to move through is okay. Anything that wants to be felt is okay to feel. There's no resistance to it. And even if there is resistance to it, that can be felt too. Oh, I'm feeling a lot of resistance. There's an idea here that has a lot of resistance around it. Oh my goodness, look at this. There's a lot of resistance around this sensation or this emotion. Okay. And so the more I can move into the excitement around just being present here and feeling whatever is here, the deeper I go. It's really quite simple. It's not complex at all. What makes it complex is more ideas about it. What makes it complex is ideas that say, "Oh, well, I don't want to feel that." You see, that's just ideas too. I don't want to experience that. That's ideas too. What is it that's saying that? Can I explore that too? What do I know about that that's speaking? Can I explore that too? You see. So coming into this curious place that doesn't know anything about anything, that's willing to feel it all, that's willing to explore it all because there's nothing known about it at all. This is consciousness knowing itself, exploring itself. To know itself is to unknow any idea about it. As soon as I am registering an idea and making that idea true for me, then I'm dropping into the idea, and then that idea becomes the way that I'm seeing. That becomes my perspective. That becomes the imagination that I'm perceiving everything from. And this is very limiting. And so, as soon as I take that idea and make that real for me, I say, "Oh, I know what this is." Then I'm no longer here in the moment. I'm in the idea. And what is the idea? Where does that come from? What does it say? It's some form of memory. It's some form of past knowing. It's not connected with what is here and now. It's not connected with the infinite knowing that is all, in the intelligence that is moving everything. You see. So as soon as I drop into that thought and I say, "Oh, I know this," then that is the past. It is some idea of a past. It is some idea that comes from a past. It is a memory. And so then I use that memory to say, this is something that I know. I know this. And as soon as I do that, then I'm pulling myself back into that memory. And then that imagination becomes my reality now, in the sense that it's projected on everything that I'm seeing now. However, it has nothing to do with now. Because where does it come from? It comes from the past. And so if I want to be in now, then I have to unknow all the ideas. I can't know anything about them at all. You see, it's only the ideas that show up that get in front of, that move in front of what is now. And what is now is what is always true. And when the idea shows up and it moves in front of what is now, and I believe that idea, then instead of seeing now, I'm looking into a past idea. So, how do I see what is now rather than looking into the past all the time? To see what is now is to be present here and now, unknowing any idea that shows up. Oh, I see the idea, but I don't know anything about it. So this is the state of the baby. Does the baby know anything about what it's seeing? No, doesn't know anything about it at all. So anything at all can show up in front of the eyes of the baby, but the baby doesn't know anything about it. It isn't until later, when the baby begins to associate sounds that it's hearing with forms, that it begins to store that in memory. And as it stores it in memory, then it becomes idea referencing. And so as it becomes idea referencing, then it's referencing the past to give it a form or an idea today in the now. So notice this. Notice this is happening all the time without any awareness around it. Notice that your mind is always referencing the past in order to give it a form today in the now. It is always referencing some sort of past idea in order to give a structure to what is being experienced now, in order to give a form to it. And it is doing this automatically all the time. So how do you know anything at all? Truly, without referencing some idea from the past, is there any way to know anything at all? Try it out. See. Is it possible to know anything at all without referencing an idea from the past? How do you know anything about me as you're watching this video? Because I told you that my name is Jason King in the past? Then you know this? So you reference the past in order to know what's here right now? Watch, see, recognize that this is happening all the time. And so, is it truly possible to know anything at all? If you're constantly referencing the past in order to know something now, are you actually knowing anything? What are you actually knowing? To know what is now is to unknow anything at all. Unknown, in the sense that no idea that shows up can tell me what this is. Any idea that shows up is just a memory. That's all that is. So it cannot give me any sort of ability to know what is now. I cannot know what is now through referencing a memory. So how do I know what is now? Only in moving into thought-free presence. To be fully present with it is to know it. To be still and fully present with what is here and now is to know it. And then it begins to reveal itself without any thoughts about it. But anytime I move into a thought, then I'm referencing the past. And anytime I reference the past, then I lose the ability to know what is now. Because all I'm seeing is the past, or my memory of it. This is why it's often spoken that in order to know what is now, everything must go. You must lose it all. There is no identity in what is now. There's nothing known in what is now. This is why this is spoken. So, in the freshness and the newness of now, all ideas are met and they dissolve because there's nothing known about them. Thank you for joining me today. Perhaps I will trim my beard after this. We'll see. If it feels fun. Uh, I love you so very much, and I will see you tomorrow.